Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about intermittent fasting. So as you know, with intermittent fasting, you have a fasting window and you have a feeding window. Other people sometimes call it a feasting window. The target with the faster way is a 16-8 protocol, which means you have a 16-hour fasting window and an 8-hour feeding window. Most of my clients prefer a clock-based strategy where they're eating at certain times of the day. So most people choose 12 noon to 8 p.m., but other people might choose 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and you can shift it however works for your schedule. For example, if you work second shift, you are welcome to eat whatever 8-hour time frame works for you. Okay, there is research to suggest that as little as a 12-hour fasting window has benefits. So if you want to kind of phase in, you can start with a 12-hour fasting window and 12 hours of feeding. So maybe 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. depending on when you like to eat. And then I would recommend every day or two trying to extend your fasting window by a half an hour so that you eventually arrive at the 16-hour fasting protocol. But I want to encourage you that if you've made it to the 12-hour, you are on the right track. So do not consider eating at 14 hours a failure, especially at the beginning. As you're getting used to this, I want to encourage you to just give it a try. I love breakfast. I love eating. I love eating in the morning. I never understood people who said they weren't hungry for breakfast, but I was astounded to realize after I had tried it for a while that it has become super easy. At least for me to make it till 10:30 is super easy. Usually I get to noon with no trouble at all. I would say if you start becoming famished, if you feel faint, definitely make sure you're hydrated and everything like that. But if you feel very, very hungry, I want you to eat. Okay, so hear me say that. Just say you're striving for a 16-hour fast and now it's hour 14 and you feel famished or faint, I want you to eat, okay? Working out. Can you work out when you're fasting? Yes. You can work out when you're fasting. You can work out when you're feeding. It doesn't matter. The best time to work out is the time that you will work out, okay? The time that you will do it is the best time to work out. So, intermittent fasting. I mentioned the 8-hour feeding window and that most people prefer a clock-based system. Other people use a rolling window. What does that mean? That means that every single day I am looking at my watch or I have downloaded an app from the App Store or from the Google Play Store, and I've installed an intermittent fasting app and I push the app or I note the time. I might write it in a journal or write it on a little note section of my phone when I stopped eating. That way, the next day, you'll know when to break your fast. So that would be a rolling window. And what you would be focusing on is the fasting time. So you would, break your fast when you've reached the fasting time that is your target. So those are the two strategies of the clock-based system or the rolling fasting window. And I wanted to also say, I guess that's everything I wanted to say about intermittent fasting. I made little notes about phasing it in, about the firmer the rolling window, and about if you are in doubt, eat, and different strategies to track it. So it's really a simple idea, and it has many research benefits. Some people think it's just simply tricking yourself into eating less food because you're giving yourself less time of a day to eat it, which may have some merit. But I will say there is some intriguing research to show that there are added benefits besides just tricking yourself. And the most intriguing to me is this cellular cleanup. The pronunciation is in dispute, but I pronounce it autophagy. Autophagy means auto, self, phagy, eating. Eating yourself, that doesn't sound very good. But in this case, it's the body eating the cells that are damaged. Eating is seems like a crass word to describe this. The body processing and eliminating cells that are damaged, especially in your brain, and leaving you with fewer damaged cells and more healthy, vibrant cells. So the kind of anti-aging aspect is really intriguing. And some of the studies have been on animals, some of the studies have been on humans, and maybe I'll pop on another time and give you a few more stats and a few more benefits of the intermittent fasting. But I would just like to encourage you to give it a whirl. I know you can do it, and focus on hydration. Drink that coffee if you like coffee, or drink that tea. If you drink your coffee or your tea and you like to put things into it, I recommend they be Fast Away approved things and they be under 50 calories. So during the fasting window, it's okay if you consume up to 50 calories. Most people like to jazz up their coffee with maybe an almond milk creamer, maybe, a squirt of agave, whatever is preferred that's under 50 calories. Other people like to have their coffee black or don't enjoy coffee at all, and maybe they just have an herbal tea or just some nice water in the morning. And then they may choose to use their 50 calories to have like a chicken bone broth mid-morning. Or my favorite, because it's a miracle that this has happened, but I've somehow managed to drink my coffee black. I used to drink kind of a little coffee with a lot of whole milk and a lot of equal packets in the olden days, but I've somehow managed to transition to drinking coffee black. I love coffee. I'm a little particular, but I am happy drinking it black. So what do I use my 50 calories on many occasions? Kombucha. If you're not familiar with kombucha, it's fermented tea that is carbonated, and I actually make it at home. So you can buy it at the store, but if you are interested in kombucha and making it at home, it would be my pleasure for you locals to share my materials with you and help get you started on brewing your own homemade kombucha. So that's just a little tangent, but kombucha is pretty low calorie. So for an 8-ounce serving, it's usually around 25 or 30 calories. So you can even possibly have a 16-ounce serving of kombucha and still stay under the 50 calorie break your fast rule. Okay, so I'd love to hear how you're doing with the intermittent fasting. Drop a comment below to tell me how you are doing with intermittent fasting so far.